recording. I've just started the recording. I can't deal.
All right, let's go. Come on.
Who's up stroking their ejaculus right now?
I just want to die.
What a return to this wonderful series.
Crocs just changed his name to the Bron James. Oh no!
Watch basketball team struck me with a bit of inspiration.
The Bron James, actually wonderful.
I'm trying to fucking port the image over.
Who's that fucking picture? Who's that meant to be, Moots?
This is Karl the 12th, former king of Sweden during the Great Swedish Empire era, or rather the end of it, known as Carolus Rex.
Oh, the Sabaton album. Excellent.
Yes, it's that guy, that fella.
Right. Okay.
Famously shot to death in combat.
Right. Well, you're going to be famously shot to death in this podcast studio in a minute. You fucking reprobate. Right. Fuck it. Hello and welcome to another episode of the Astartes Anonymous podcast, and of course, the Astartes Anonymous second channel that we will use for the podcast going forward, alongside all manner of new content, such as the upcoming homebrew content and perhaps some gaming content. And who knows what else? Competent. Maybe, just maybe, we'll upload the 10-hour stream of Moots sleeping entirely nude. So I am once again joined by God's littlest Swede, the spawn of Aberdeen, and a boy who only paints epic scale miniatures because they make him feel like a big man.
Oh,
I'm your host, Tom, and these are my co-hosts. Would you guys like to introduce yourselves for the first time on the new channel, Moots?
Yes, hello everyone. My name is Lucas, or better known as Moots, and in Sweden there's an infamous and illegal tradition of trying to burn down the giant Christmas straw goat every year in Gävle.
Cool. Fancy fucking law dump. Good shit. Right, Zarek.
Hey, I'm Zarek. While I may have grown up in Aberdeenshire, I was only partially affected by the ambient radiation.
Oh yes, the radioactive granite. Yes, you
don't go in the tunnels. Don't go in the tunnels. Don't go in the tunnels. Don't go in the tunnels.
Oh, and Croc.
I can survive in Aberdeen, dude. You're telling me fucking rocks radiate bad air? What are you, a fucking 12th century plague doctor, dude? Get out of here with that fucking pseudoscience.
So, just to summarize Croc's introduction, he is a cripplingly broken ego, but he compensates for it by being radiation proof, apparently. So, congrats, you've won a one-way trip to Chernobyl. Congratulations.
Yeah, you can pet the radioactive dogs, man.
I know the elephant's foot. I know the fucking Ferris wheel. I know the housing unit. I know everyone there, dude. It's like a
Pripyat resident.
What's the elephant's foot like? How's he doing these days?
He's not really doing much. Still threatening to leak into an underground lake and like poison the landscape forever and ever and ever.
Happens to the best of us, to be honest.
Honestly, at this point, I wouldn't blame him.
Who hasn't thought about salt the land every so often, you know? That's how you stop your foes from restocking on the run.
Yeah.
Restocking on the runs? Damn.
It's
I heard restocking all the rum.
All the rum?
Restocking on the run, because, like, you know, you harvest the crops or whatever the fuck Napoleon tried to stop people doing, man. Weird fellow, that Napoleon guy.
No, man, sorry, I'm all out of funds. Can't help you.
Right, audience, I wanted to let you know that because we are on the new channel, this channel has no monetization, which means, finally, for the first time in like 2.5, 3 years, I can call Moots, in a published setting, I can call Moots a cunt.
Wow!
Capacity, I without worrying about my financial situation, Moots, you're a cunt.
No.
Takes one to know one, fuck ass.
And you're a cunt. And you're a cunt.
We had this, just a context, we have said like curse words on the podcast before. It's not an exact science what YouTube does and doesn't demonetize for. Its detection system isn't like Exact. But we had an episode with Arthur ages and ages ago that performed really, really, really well. Really, really well. And he said he had the most hard T, like cunt, in the middle of the episode, and it lost its monetization in a heartbeat. And he felt bad about that for like a year. Oh, it was so funny. So yeah, Moots.
We forgive him.
We've got to get Aaron on so I can call him a cunt on the podcast. Well, because this is like the first new episode on the new channel, this is only going to get watched by the guys who are going to get like pinged in the Discord and the randoms who stumble across it online.
Of course. Yeah.
So, like, who do we call out first from the Discord on this brand new channel? What about
Oxy.
Who?
Oxy.
Oxy, of course. I was gonna call out Voldasterian. Oxy, I'd like you to know, I still don't know what I did wrong. You haven't told me. You keep fucking bringing it up, and you keep saying that I know what I did. I don't know what I did. You haven't fucking told me.
No, didn't this get resolved ages ago?
No, he did it like last week. He said it again. I mentioned the Iron Hands last week, and he said, "Fuck you, Tom." And I said, "What?" And he went, "You know what you did?" No, I fucking don't. I know it's got something to do with Ferris Manus, right? But that's about it.
Oxy's very good at holding a grudge, even when the person he's holding a grudge against doesn't know. For the longest time, he kept asking me to give it back, and because I'm the way I am, I didn't ask what. I just said, "Fuck you, I'm never giving it back." Turns out it was just giving him back the custodian role because his old account got compromised, so he didn't have the new account. And I only found out when he hit the custodian role, which is like. Oxy's the only double custodian on the server. Because he hit custodian and he was like, "Fuck you, Croc, I got it anyway." I was like, "Oh, that's what he meant."
Just a context of the audience, the custodian role or rank is part of like the level up system. Like when you've spent a certain amount of time or a certain amount of engagement in the Discord, you get these various ranks, and custodian is kind of the highest one that anyone's reached yet.
Dude, I don't have it. I don't have that.
No,
What
it's
do I
because
have?
you don't. Because you get the ranks by engaging in like written chats, but you spend all your time in VC, and I'm not paying the fucking Discord bot money to give people points for getting in the VC. That's not on the agenda. I'm sorry, it's not fucking happening. Wait, do you actually not have it?
I only have Space Marine.
Oh my god, yeah, I've just checked. You do. You've not even gotten out of the. Oh god.
I mean, I'm pretty sure.
Why are we even letting you on the podcast?
You're not even on the leaderboard. I bet you've never experienced top 10.
Oh wait, okay. You have custodian, Tom. Did you just give it to yourself, or did you actually get it? Oh,
bro, I mean,
I also have it.
Oh, I'm not even in the top 10 anymore. Holy shit!
Wow, damn, getting bumped down.
Do you want to shout out the top 10?
No, don't shout out the top 10. There's people who are banned in the top 10.
Oh, wonderful.
But there is.
Oh goodness, yeah, there is. Yeah. Check number 2. I'm not going to name any names. Check number 2. Shit, fuck it. Check number 4 as well. This is going to be a really awkward shout out. So no, we're going to skip. We're going to skip that one today, ladies and gentlemen. Oh goodness, but no. So we've got brand new channel. For the next at least couple of uploads, hopefully we'll get monetized at some point on this channel. I can't imagine it'll make a lot of money, but at least I can call Moots a cunt. You know,
for a bit, for a while,
for a little while.
It's like savor it while it lasts.
We're in the eye of the storm, you know.
It's not about the money, Batman. It's about sending a message.
and the message is Charlie Uniform, November Tango. Let's fucking go.
Well, I think there's a.
See you next Tuesday.
Well, you see, Tom, I think there's a lesson here. You see, you may know that in Sweden we have the word that means the Swedish word lagom, which means just the right amount. But did you know about husmanskost?
This sounds suspect. Go on.
It means household comfort food.
Can you just shut the fuck up? You make me think of baked beans.
No. I'll start. Let's just start. Shall we do miniatures of the week?
No, I got more I want to talk to the audience about.
Oh, okay.
Because this episode is going to be watched by this is going to be our least watched episode in terms of views that we'll have done in a very long time because it's gone on a brand new channel. So I want the people who watch this episode, those few people, feel like they're feel like they're in the know, So I want to take the opportunity to tell these people about some of the stuff we've got lined up on the main channel, maybe some of the things we want to do here, and a few other little bits and bobs. I don't want to take too long, like just a few minutes to talk about it, but. We've got so just for you watching, we've got an Arbites video coming up. The Arbites, the Police Brutality Incorporated. That's coming up soon. We've got the greatest ever video on YouTube ever about the Eyes of the Emperor coming up. Period. Ever. I mean that sincerely.
No, I can second this. From what I know, it's going to be the premiere. I'm genuinely hyped. I'm going to learn a lot.
I'm really proud of it. This has been it's crazy because usually the videos are about a week's worth of work. So, and that's the week of round the clock research, writing, recording, editing. Boom, 1 week, let's go. But this one has been in the works for 2.5, 3 months of all this extrapolation. I was already passionate about the Custodians in the Eyes of the Emperor anyway, so I think it's going to be a great one. Will it be the best performing video on YouTube? Probably not. Will it be a really, really good video? Yes. Speaking of the videos, after the next upload, which is, I don't know if this is going to come out before or after. It's probably going to come out before this goes live. Our next upload is going to be the All Space Marine Ranks and Roles. We're doing a big Space Marine chapter, supercut thing soon. After that, we're actually changing the way video editing is done. We've got a fun new little style coming up that we hope you'll all like. But at the moment, there's nobody else on the YouTube platform. In the 40K space, nobody else doing it. So hopefully you guys will enjoy that, We got a bunch of stuff in the future works. We've got some fun stuff planned for the Inquisition. We want to do an Inquisition supercut at some point, a 2-3 hour video, which is a compilation of 6, 7, 8, 9 other smaller videos compiled into one. So everything you could possibly want to know about the Inquisition. I'll tell you what we've got coming up soon. That might interest some of you, is a fun little dissection of the events and relationship and thematics behind the relationship between Alexis Pollux and Barabbas Dantiok. If you guys don't know who those guys are, then what the fuck are you doing? Love those guys. So we've got some really fun stuff on the horizon. Now this channel is live, we can slowly start looking towards getting that homebrew stuff going, having those conversations and seeing what we can make happen. We've already got a few sort of in the spotlight for which ones we want to do. Again, time frame, I'm not going to make any promises because then I'm just going to end up lying to you guys. So just not do that. That's the last thing I want to do. All I can tell you for sure is Moots, your homebrew is never getting shown. So the good things coming. Thank you all for watching and tuning into the new channel. Really means a lot. This channel, because this video is going to get 10 views. This video is going to get 10 fucking views. But for all 10 of you, thank you so much. Right? Yes, Zarek, what were you saying?
Yeah. So we. Oh god, my voice cracked. We're back. It's been a long time for us. May not be for you guys, but we're getting in with some models of the week. I'm so happy to be back on this. This is always so much fun.
I would be if Moots wasn't here, but we beggars can't after all. Beggars can't be choosers.
You know what, Top? I hope you choke on a cheese stick, you greasy, nasty bitch. You look like you drink white Gatorade and smell like nickels. Fuck you.
Wow. What no monetization does to a motherfucker.
Can I get that in writing? I feel like I'm going to need to refer to this in my lawsuit.
It is me. I am the one that smells of nickels and choked on the white Gatorade.
Okay, right. First model of the week. So, there is a user who is relatively new to the Astartes Anonymous Discord called the Torment Nexus, and he has created this absolutely wondrous, wonderful kit bash. It is a warlord for his homebrew. And the wall is called Mortis the Pale Hand. It is a wonderful combination of what looks like a Havoc Marine's head, Horus Ascended's body. Croc, where's that tentacle arm from? You told me earlier.
The Galapox infected kill team. It's the big guy with the gimp mask and the tentacles.
So it is. And he's got a slightly less than okay Solar Auxilia Marine just chilling on top of him. That guy's had better days.
He's got a great view, though.
absolutely wonderful kit bash. Such a great use of a minimalistic yet great use of colors. Only 2 or 3. So it's 3 really primary colors on the whole actual model itself. Just that bluey green, the flesh color, and the red from behind. Really, really striking, eye-catching. The kit bash has been done impeccably well. There's no odd bits like on my kit bashes, where if you look from it from a certain angle, you can see the cracks. So yeah, really. Really great job.
Yeah, this thing rocks. I'm especially impressed by the coloring, and the sort of texturing itself. It really looks like it's been this guy has been at the bottom of the ocean for way too long.
Yeah, well, that's the fun thing. We were saying this earlier about the Galapox infected. It's quite fun because I don't think we didn't notice this. I was talking to Aaron about this because Aaron, obviously, as we all know, is a huge Nurgle and Death Guard fan. So obviously he bought the Galapox infected. They look very Nurgle-fied and all that jazz. But no, we didn't actually notice until like a month or 2 months after release that the entire kit is nautical themed. You can go and check that now if you want. You can go to the Games Workshop website and find the Galapox infected. All of the Galapox models are nautical themed. In subtle ways, they look like peg legs, pirates, tentacles, fish, and other various little odds and sods. You can see these tentacles here aren't just Nurgle-like tentacles. You can look at the end and see these are actually octopus tentacles. But yeah, no, exceptional job, the Torment Nexus. I really, really hope that we get another opportunity to show off more of your models in future episodes, because this is really wonderful. It's really good. Mm-hmm. Great centerpiece, you know. Right,
100%.
Should we move on to your one, Moots? Would you like to tell us who has done this exceptional Black Templar?
Of course, it is the Grand Kaiser himself. This is a wonderful Black Templar. It's very classic in a sense. It really just stuck out to me, obviously, because the painting skills at show here is just really fucking good.
Yeah.
It's a very, very good showing of skills here, and I just saw it and I was like, wow.
Yeah, no, it looks absolutely great. I love the red. It's kind of one of those things you get with a lot of these Space Marine models. A lot of other factors as well, but with Space Marine models in particular, especially if you use a more muted color scheme like the Black Templars, you got to find 1 or 2 special spots to really make them pop. And the way that red flows going into the cape on his shoulder is absolutely sensational.
Yeah, I just also want to point out again, I guess the texturing itself on you on the cloth, like the way he's made on the paint strokes, you can clearly this is supposed, it really looks like it's a fabric instead of just painted plastic. So
100%.
I think what really carries the armor here is that while much of it is got, edge highlights, the sort of standard painting style, the greave that's prominent and in front, the first bit of armor that you really focus on, has a really nice example of non-metallic metal highlighting.
I was about to point that out. You're absolutely right.
The whole model, just by placing it in the right bit.
It does so much, even this tiny, tiny detail. Even though the rest of the model is mostly without such details. I mean, still great, still wonderfully painted and textured. That one tiny example of showing how light can reflect off of an armor plate just elevates everything around it. It's wonderful. It really helps to that sort of the grand scheme of the, what is it called? The golden angle. When you see the model from its prime direction, that one tiny detail just gives the whole image so much explosive detail. Honestly, I think the only thing I'd change is the very basic metallic power axe, because you and I both know. I mean, all of us know, looking at this model by the Grand Kaiser himself, is that if you can paint capes that well, you can paint tabards that well, you can paint metal that well. I think we all know that this guy could have done an absolutely slapping gradient on that power axe. Now, it doesn't detract from the model. It still looks absolutely wonderful. But hopefully, Grand Kaiser, when we feature you next time, hopefully we can see some wonderful ecstatic power weapon. Because this model, I think we know you can do it. We know you can do it.
I think it's sort of hidden by, the the shadow, high contrast shadows here, because there is another photo from where you see slight where from behind, and there is obviously there's somewhat what you just mentioned there, but there is like you can see a bit better of how I believe the axe is supposed to look.
That's true. Maybe it's just the lighting from this one specific angle catches it, because it's kind of tilted forwards a little bit, so it's not going to catch the light as well. So absolutely, 100%. But yeah, sensational job, the Grand Kaiser himself. Right, let's move on to...
Before we move on.
Oh, go ahead. No, fire away.
It's also worth noting, this is another one of those situations where a Terminator has stolen Belial's pants. Can you blame them? No, Belial has that shit on.
You can't keep it.
But whenever I see someone
it's not just his pants, it's his
Belial's
entire
pants,
upper
it's like,
torso.
what? There it is. Wait, is it?
But it's not just it's his entire upper torso. He swapped out the. So you know how Belial has the huge Dark Angel's insignia on his tilt shield. What Kaiser has done here is he's actually shaved off the Dark Angel's insignia. In fact, this is actually mostly Belial, this model.
Yeah, I'm going to keep it real with you. I don't recognize Belial outside of the pants.
Yeah, it's the Crusader's helm that's doing so much of the heavy lifting here from that little upgrade kit. Oh.
The Iron Halo as well, because Black Templars have these wonderful, lovely Iron Halos, and with skulls and brass all in one sort of hit. And he swapped the weapons around as well, because on Belial's model, the gun is in the other hand versus this one. So he swapped the two around. So he's really done these lovely little details to really, really bring it out. But what he's also done, the one thing he's also done that, like, when I looked at Belial's model when it came out, when it was new, that I thought, oh, fuck, that's going to make this really hard to kit bash, was that on Belial's model, the Crux Terminatus on his leg has cross swords going through it, which, as we all know, is a very Dark Angel's visual trait. And he's very seamlessly removed them from the Crux Terminatus. So it reads, once again, seamlessly as a Black Templars model. Really, really, really ingenious, but tiny changes. So yeah, really, really great job there, Kaiser. Really wonderful.
I have a single criticism that I must voice.
Fire away.
And it's a PSA. I would humbly ask of the whole community, please, by all that's holy, drill your bolter barrels. It elevates it for me. It really gets me into a model when I can see drilled barrels. It makes me so happy.
That's entirely fair.
What you should do is what I did when I first started, which is use the fucking hobby knife to carve out the holes. That's how you do it. What's up, man?
I still do.
Yes.
You just grab like a fresh blade end, because here's the thing, I don't have like loads of time to make models, right? So if I've got time to make a model, this is like a rare occurrence. So I'm not going to sit there and worry about ruining the tip of one bloody hobby blade, you know. So you just poke it in and you start spinning, and Bob's your uncle. No one's going to notice. I'd fucking hate to meet the person that would notice the difference and then call you out on it. Fuck that. But no, great model.
I have like an industrial strength guiding hole puncher that I don't use to poke barrels that often, because the force required, even on its lowest setting, has like a decent chance of me just pulverizing the bolt. It's really good for anything else, like putting little fucking bullet holes on epic scale tanks. Excellent. You still run the risk of pulverizing whatever you're jabbing with it, though, because it is a bit violent.
Wait, did you guys not buy the Games Workshop brand drill?
No.
Yeah, but you need a guide hole.
I suppose
it's like drilling 101.
I use Army Painter. Hell yeah.
Citadel paints are good for drinking. Right, move on. So,
I hate that I know what Citadel tastes like. I hate that I know the flavor of Mephiston Red.
It's rich but bitter.
That wonderful, the wonderful Snowpiercer meme coming in. That was great, Krog. You need to put more memes in the group chat, Krog. You really do.
I've sent so many.
I've sent you. I had a look through our chat last night. I was going up through it. You have ignored the last like 6 or 7 Pibble memes that I've sent you. And my heart is broken. I'm not going to lie.
Damn.
He's got nothing to say.
No.
He's pulling out his phone. He's pulling out his phone to correct the situation right now.
I'm sure the viewers are here for this Pibble content.
Pibble content.
Of course.
Listen, it was a toss-up between a 40k channel and a Pibble channel. You know, it really could have been anyone. It could have been anyone's guess, really.
In a parallel universe.
I bet in the alternate timeline where you and I decided to make a Pibble channel, I bet they're making way more money.
Fucking
Right.
AA over there.
AAU.
AAU.
We got AA over here, you got PP over there, Pibble personals. Right. Moving on. So we've got the next model of the week is Croc Selection, and this is by a user on our Discord called Kira. Croc, would you like to tell us a little bit about this wonderful little miniature?
Yeah, so this is a Tempestus Aquilon, but it's just too good. This is like when I think of doing kill team, it's why I have so many kill teams that are built and primed and not painted. It's because I bite off way more than I can chew. You see this image of someone doing really flavorful kit bashes. Like, okay, look at this shit, man. The original pose for that plasma is held in hand, like held in two hands. So they've carved off the hands and in its place sculpted a fucking smoke trail to hold onto a spent plasma cell.
Wait, is that not just part of the kit?
I thought it was part of the kit.
So quite literally, this, compared to the regular Aquilons, the head is different, or at least has hair, and the arms themselves are different because they wear like flight leathers. So they've also either sculpted arms wholly or scraped off all the little leather bits.
Oh, the arms will be from a Necromunda kit. I'd be willing to bet my left testicle.
Let's look.
What do you reckon, Zarek?
They would probably be the... I'm going to scream. They would be the House... House of Iron. The bikers. They're Juve prospects with the drop rigs. They've got bare arms.
Can I point out something funny about the Tempest? Just totally off topic, something about the Tempestus Aquilons that I find very, very funny.
Mm-hmm.
The plasma gunner in the Tempestus Aquilon squad, his plasma gun has a wooden stock.
Yes, actually, I'm going to add to that. It's because the plasma and melter options are space green pistols with stocks added to be used by regular people.
Oh my god, I'm looking at it now. Oh my god, it's just a space marine pistol but fit into a guy's hand. That's so weird. I don't like that. That makes me feel really uncomfortable, actually. That's so strange.
It's a really weird thing, but honestly, I kind of fuck with it, considering what the Tempest Aquilons are like.
Yeah.
Which,
that's
just
so
on
cool.
the topic, man. God dang. All the little, like, the fucking checkerboard on the chest plate, combined with all the scratches, the little wing and sword insignia, the fucking gradient in the fucking hair of all things, the teeth on the plasma gun. You won't be able to see it on the podcast, but on the right arm, there's literally a little fucking, like... It's one of those moments where it's like the little things, where it's just, a like, triangle, but at a glance, it looks like a symbol of the Aquila.
Yeah.
So you equate the two together. It's like... It's good. It's a really fucking good paint scheme.
Yeah, absolutely. I think one of the most impressive things about this is it's those tiny details from the little sword and wing on the shoulder. That's literally just been painted on. But also that, like, when you can sort of see that the plasma cartridge has been ejected, and you can still see the faint glow of the plasma in the smoke. Yeah. That's such a wonderful tiny detail that no matter how good I ever get at painting, I can't imagine I ever would have thought of that. You know, the lovely little scratches on the breastplate. There's so many colors at work here as well. You see the little green on the tip of the plasma gun. So yeah, truly sensational job here, Kira. And I know it's a tiny little thing, but the sort of the yellow chalk line on the base, simple, classic, but it does loads of work to give the model a platform to stand on and direct your eye where it needs to go. So yeah, no, really, really exceptional work, Kira. Right, anything else for this one, or can we go on to the next one?
It's great. It's great.
Shout out to the Tempestus Aquilons. I can't wait for this person to make the fucking sentry turret.
Excellent. Right, so the next model for our Models of the Week was chosen by Zarek, and this is from a user in our Discord called Acid Ghost. This thing is, it's like the photo of King Charles.
It is.
The painting. Sorry, the painting.
You're entirely correct. The painting
color
of
scheme.
Prince Charles. So this was made from the Mini of the Month, the Barrow Guard miniature, and they've completely removed the arms and remade it into something horribly original. And I fuck with it entirely. The weird fleshy gravestone next to them, the writhing mass of tentacles where the mini ends and the base begins is so unclear that I cannot be so pleased with this as sort of some kind of cosmic horror going on.
Yeah.
I love it.
This is distinguishably disgusting. I love how grotesque this thing is. Really just took what I know as, I wouldn't say a basic model, but I know of the Mini and all of that, and just elevated to a whole new level that I haven't seen before.
It's stuff like this. It's funny just to sort of add on to that point a little bit. It's kind of kit bashes and paint jobs like this that you would do if you wanted to literally elevate a rank and file unit into a commander unit. But not just between the tentacles and the colors, but the raised base, bringing it up. There's only really two colors at play on this. I mean, there's lots of colors at play, but there's two predominant colors at play: that pinky red and that cold blue from the raised base. So even though it's this overpowering pinky red, we still have that lovely contrast between the two to make it stand out, to make it really, really visible on the tabletop. So yeah, exceptional job, Acid Ghost. Really, really wonderful. And again, just to sort of add to it, these little tiny things, those strings of gore stretching from piece to piece to piece with the funky glue stuff. I can't remember what it's called. What is it called? Say again?
Is it Ooglu?
So it's something like that. I can't remember what it's called. But yeah, so really, really great job there, Acid Ghost. Really, really wonderful. I would detest to see an army full of these, because on one hand, I'd be too busy looking at them, and on the other hand, I'd be too busy feeling ill. I've just noticed his right arm isn't even his arm. It's a fucking tree trunk.
Yeah.
It's a goddamn branch sticking out of his fucking arm.
There's something so grossly natural about this, and the sort of trypophobia style texturing on all of it really reminds me of like a fungal network, and I get this vibe that this is very much part of some fungus themed maybe Sylvaneth army. This would suit really well there. Or if you're doing a whole army of what are they called, the Soulblight Gravelords,
yes,
as full of this, it's going to be immaculate. I would love to see that force. So please post more, Acid Ghost.
Yeah, the plot twist here is it's actually Gloomspite Git.
Actual reprobate. Right. Ladies and gentlemen, I'm terribly sorry. I need to pee. So I'll be back. I'll be back in 45 seconds. Hey, listen, we're not monetized. We can do what we want. I'll be back in 45 seconds and we'll move on to the main topic.
Wow. Piss break. Let's go. Yeah.
Piss
of what? Right. Well, while he's gone.
Stuff in podcast references.
Oh, okay. Well, but first, I'm just going to give you another fun Swedish fact here. Sweden has the 6th highest per capita rate of coffee consumption in the world, with Finland being number 1.
This sounds depressing.
I mean, coffee is love. Coffee is life. Coffee is the nectar of gods.
Look,
maybe that's just me, but
coffee. I've kept my body clean.
Coffee.
I've kept my body clean specifically so that I can use coffee as a powerful stimulant. It's great. I can drink one coffee, and you would think I was a tweaker or something, right? It's when I'm on coffee. It's because I drink it so rarely. I am a certified tea head. I only drink tea.
Mm.
So while I drink coffee, it is a matter of practicality, not taste.
Okay. I suppose I see what you mean. For me personally, it's all about taste. But I'm also the kind of guy who puts chalky milk in my coffee. So I just enjoy it, man. I just like it.
I do it for love of the game.
With that said, I drink coffee as like no matter how much coffee I drink, I'm always tired. So it's that's pretty rough.
It's because you've fallen for the coffee drinkers fallacy of, I just need another. When in fact you have weakened your body. You can no longer feel its effects. You have communed with the gods too much. Now they turn a blind eye.
It's time for ketamine.
Your soul is
of
rotten.
course. The next natural step in coffee consumption. Thank you, Zarek. Now I shall from caffeine to ketamine, of course.
I'm back.
Hello.
Wonderful.
We were talking about the evolution of coffee drinking. It's ketamine next.
Wait till we find about the fucking evolution of Coca-Cola.
Ah, yes, of course.
It goes from Coca-Cola to Fanta.
Mm.
I know, right? I want to make about Coca-Cola because I drank a can earlier today. I didn't order it, but I
Right.
got it. I drank a can earlier
Okay.
today, and then I went to go and get a glass of water. And I realized how foul water tasted with the sort of residual taste of Coca-Cola in my mouth. So now I understand why there's people that will exclusively drink fizzy drinks. Because I drink a soda like once, maybe every 2 months.
This isn't condoning, right? This isn't condoning it, right?
No. This is I drink a soda once every 2 months. That's the standard for me. So I drink water. Almost nothing else. It's cheap. It's so cheap. Oh my god. But it shocked me that once you've tasted that, it just tastes bad for the next few hours until you get to wash the taste out of your mouth. Like,
Now, have you ever heard of Pilk?
okay,
Right,
can
and
we move on to the
moving on.
subject?
So,
No. We cannot mention Pilk without mentioning Pegnog.
what great green, what possible connection could you have created between Pilk and eggnog, you reprobate?
Pegnog.
Pegnog?
Eggnog.
We don't want to talk about Pilk. Why do you think we want to talk about Pegnog?
They come in pairs. You have to mention Pegnog if you mention
We
Pilk.
can ignore them in pairs then.
Have you seen the Pilk evolution
We're going to
tree?
mention Pegnog.
But have you seen the Pilk evolution tree? That leads to
the fucking Pilk line.
yeah. Podcast.
The drink of the gods. You mean
It all leads to
Beverage
the
of the
beverage
gods.
of the gods.
the beverage of the gods? I'd like to find the brave soul who mixed gas and ramen.
It's like they're sort of relatively alright combinations, and then it just gets to garment, which will fucking kill you.
No, look, there's a combination missing from here, and it's those like fizzy strings, like fizzy like candy strings.
This isn't going on the
And
screen,
soda,
by the
and
way.
the
You know that,
Coca-Cola.
right?
No, okay, sure, that's fine.
All right, should we do the subject? 40 minutes in.
Right. Ladies and gentlemen, so the topic for today, which hopefully I remember to hint at in the title of the video, because I know we haven't mentioned it up until now, is we had this idea a while back to maybe sit down and discuss an interesting notion. This idea of what would the setting be like, whether it's the setting or the community's interpretation of the setting, or just the community's view of the setting in general, if the Space Marines weren't the poster boys. This idea if something else, something alternative was the poster boys of the setting, or the poster children of the setting. And so I guess we've all presumably, because we haven't actually discussed our notes for this, so hopefully there's not too much crossover. But just this general idea of what would the setting be like if somebody else was the poster boys. So I know Zarek. I know that you've spent some time thinking about, talking about, and looking at presumably what would be the most common answer of who would be the replacement poster boys, and that would be the Imperial Guard.
Absolutely. I think they're the clearest, most obvious option here, because 40k, as it is, has been written with the Imperium first and foremost in its mind. It is a setting built around the Imperium, where other factions have been introduced as a counter or a foil or something else in relation to the Imperium. But the Imperium has always remained central. And in focusing on the Guard, we get, I think, a better look at the reality of the Imperium itself.
Yeah.
Now, a few months ago, I was reading some of the academic literature on the subject of 40k and how Space Marines are represented within the lore. Viewers will notice this is going to become a running theme. I spent months of my life reading this. I'm going to get some use out of it. So, one of the things that's pointed out so much is that Space Marines are so separate from the bureaucracy of the Imperium. They're not beholden to the noble houses, the administratum, really the mechanicum in most cases. The only restriction they have is that they need to pay their tithes.
Yeah.
But with the Guard, they're at the mercy of bureaucracy. And I think that is a far better way to get across what the Imperium is than Space Marines. Because Space Marines ignore it entirely.
I think that's fun. I think it's curious with the Guard you say that, though, because I would argue that a better example of that, certainly something that I've written about and made notes on, is in a similar vein, is if the main faction, or at least the main topic of discussion, every time someone spoke about Warhammer 40k as opposed to the Space Marines, would be the Inquisition. Because the Inquisition are this really fun sort of faction where you have all of the darkest flavors of 40k, but on a smaller scale. That's the great thing about the catchphrase, there is only war, right? That's all these horrifying, dark and grim flavors, but they're really big in large quantities. When the Inquisition does it, seldom is that the case. That doesn't mean it's never the case. That is certainly the case in things like the Months of Shame and other stuff. But when the Inquisition gets involved, it's always really small scale. But I think that the coolest thing about the Inquisition, if they were the poster boys of the setting, is that you'd have more of a Blade Runner style environment to work in with the lore. The fun thing about Blade Runner is you've got all this lovely world building, you've got all this dystopia and horror and suffering, but that takes a backseat that takes such a big backseat to smaller stories. And maybe that's something that the Inquisition has in common with the Guard, right? If you were to posit the Guard as the poster boys, the one thing the two have in common that you wouldn't get with the Space Marines is really tiny scale stories where the fate of the galaxy is seldom the thing that's being fought over, but is in actual fact just the lives of little people. I think the Guard's a fun one. I think the Guard's a really fun one because I can certainly tell you if YouTube video 40k metrics or anything to go by, the Guard is certainly, like, I would go as far to say the Guard are way more popular than Space Marines. Which is really weird because the Space Marines are and always will be the poster boys. But when it comes to lore and you talk about stuff that Guardsmen have been through in stories, the dialogue Guardsmen have spoken, things Guardsmen have said and done, that stuff resonates with fans way more than anything fucking Marnius Calgar or Dante or any of the other big Space Marine characters do,
I think in a similar vein to what you were saying before about the Inquisition, where it's like this, as you said, this maybe more what's it called, detective noir stories and all of that. I think Rogue Traders would make for a, let's take it back a step to the earliest beginnings of Warhammer 40k.
It's where it started, yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. I think because they're if we're talking about this hypothetical, I guess, reality where the Space Marines aren't as prevalent. Oh my god,
almost got there. Almost got her. I think we know what you meant.
Thank you. These like groupings of random people and like even Xenos and whatnot. I mean, that's also there in the Inquisition. I almost tried saying the word again, but I
saw it and you went, "No, fuck that. I'm gonna say something else."
I ain't gonna try that again. You get. I think you can get the sort of same feeling there, which I think would be really interesting.
Absolutely. I mean, it's a hard one to picture Xenos as a sort of lead role in the setting. But isn't that an interesting idea? In fact, I think you and I were. Correct me if I'm wrong, and I don't want to spoil anything for anyone in any large capacity, but you and I were talking about this idea of OC, this thing you were working on, this idea where humanity, or what we know as humanity, is this very alien thing, and the actual aliens are the more relatable core characters. And it's funny, because if you look at 40K from the lens of, say, the Kin, the Leagues of Votann, or the Tau, I think there's this really cool opportunity here to build a setting, maybe not Warhammer 40K, but to build a setting where the main characters are very clearly and obviously these aliens, these Xenos. And also, actually, I'm really sorry. I gotta go off topic for a sec. I got a peeve. I need to exert.
It took us 40 minutes to get to the main subject, and 6 minutes in, we've already going
No. Okay, hear me out. There's a comment on one of the videos we did on the Abhumans video where someone's like, "Why aren't the Leagues of Votann here?" It's like my brother in Muhammad. They are Xenos. They are Xenos. Do you know what Xenos are? Xenos aren't aliens. It's an imperial categorization, just like Abhumans are. So when the Leagues of Votann don't enter the Abhumans video, because the Imperium haven't decided they're Abhumans, it's decided they're Xenos. And I explained that to him. Not like that. I explained it to him calmly. I quoted sources. And do you know what he said? He said something basically akin to, "Cool story, bro. They're still Abhumans." Like, bro, what are you doing? You're not listening.
It must have been from Necromunda.
Yeah, so anyway, as I was saying, so the idea of having Xenos be the I'm so sorry. The idea of having Xenos be the protagonist of the setting is really cool, because I think science fiction really, I'm probably missed it. This probably already exists and I just have missed it. But I'm in a place right now where I feel like science fiction sorely needs a setting where human beings are this weird alien thing, where they are the antagonistic, hypocritical, fascist, evil setting. Faction, and the aliens are depicted, because it forces self-reflection in such a wonderful capacity. And I want to say you could view that from the Tau or the Leagues of Votann. I'm not unaware of the horror of the Tau and the Leagues of Votann. I'm well aware that those guys are, well, less so the Leagues of Votann. Those guys just want to fucking steal minerals and fucking beat people up, which is an entirely fair.
Kind of great.
Yeah, I mean, it's like, I'm going to fucking punch you in the face and steal your rocks, because, like, if you if you needed the rocks more than I do, you'd be able to withstand the punch in the face, which is a perfectly fair philosophy, to be totally.
Every other faction has like this insidious thing burning below the surface. For the Votann, it's just Grandpappy's getting old and he can't answer questions so good anymore. Give me your fucking money. Like they are the faction that isn't. Damn, bro, that's a shame. Your net worth is less than mine. Hand it over, pal.
I love
There's an entire fucking kill team expansion, which the Votann are only there because they were chasing a hive fleet in secret, watching it devour planets, because the Votann will actively ambush hive ships at a certain point, because in their, like, the biofuel bits where they mash everything together, they make incredibly rare and valuable minerals.
Oh.
They will let whole worlds of people die. Because the Tyranids make good rocks.
I love that about the galaxy-devouring monsters have arrived, and the Votann go, I see a profitable endeavor here.
The Votann is just fucking workplace hazards.
I want to hop in
Okay.
here before we move on too quickly, because I want to loop back around to that subject about a setting where humans are alien, humans
Yeah.
are different from our
Yeah.
protagonists. And I want to quickly just to give a couple recommendations for our listeners in case that's the sort of vibe they're really interested in. There is a sort of online community. They sort of go under the handle Humans Are Space Orcs. And it's a really, really fun recharacterization of all the things that are weird about humans in the context of a bunch of aliens. There's some really cool stories I've read about when aliens misbehave, they get put in a sensory deprivation cell, and for humans, this makes them go mad and start like damaging themselves and others in order to like get some sort of stimulation, or the fact that humans can run almost continuously if they train for it, which most animals just cannot do, and how humans will go unconscious for however many hours a day in a near death-like state, and the fact that our spit is slightly acidic is all recontextualized in these stories to be strange and weird and brutish and orcish in nature in comparison to the aliens.
Didn't these things start as like random Tumblr shitposts, if I remember correctly?
They did, yes. They started as that, and then they became some immaculate writing. I know there's a Reddit for it. I think there's some other online like forums for it. But some of the best science fiction writing I've read in years has been from that. And in addition,
Tumblr.
Thank you, Tumblr. Thank you, Tumblr. And in addition, it's not about humanity, but if you want to kind of look at a story about alien civilizations meeting each other, or looking at one another from a sort of wider lens and trying to understand one another, the DLC for Outer Wilds is incredible. That's the game that you're not allowed to spoil if you've played it, and people will be really annoying and tell you nothing about it. But if that's the kind of story you like, go play the DLC. I highly recommend.
It's a good reason.
I just want the audience to know that Zarek has never once ever asked permission to plug things. She just does it.
Yeah, no, because it's cool and people want to hear it. People want this, Tom.
We've got like we got like 6 people in the audience who are your degree of intellectual. But I am so glad they're being catered to. Truly.
I wouldn't call them intellectual.
Speaking purely from experience, you don't need to be intellectual to like fuck with the Outer Wilds. First 5 minutes of the game, I drove into the sun. Next 3 hours. Oh my goodness.
Well,
I get it now.
I want to bring it back to the topic.
It is not often that I cry at a game. Holy fucking shit. If anyone plays a banjo in front of me, I might break down.
It's too real. It's too real. I watch people replay that game, and every time I watch them get to the end, I always cry. I don't know what it is.
It's the banjo, obviously.
I want to bring it back to the topic. I want to bring up the topic.
Mm-hmm.
So, as you guys know, I am a huge, utterly colossal simp for the Custodies. Big simp for the Custodies. I have loved the Custodies for a very long time. They were the first 40k. No, Croc, shut the fuck up. I see your thoughts lining up. You put them on. They were the first faction that I made more than like a 3k point army for. Love them to bits. So the thing about the Custodies that I find this idea of seeing the Custodies as the poster boys for the faction is really, really interesting to me. Not necessarily because of the Custodies themselves, although of course there is avenues there to venture, right? Talking about the supremacy of Terra, the Terra being even more important than it already is, and a bunch of other things, right? But what I find interesting about seeing the Custodies as the poster boys is more specifically, where does that relegate the Space Marines? Because they're the only faction in the setting that certainly, I mean, there's a bunch that do this in various degrees, but they're the only faction in the setting that categorically says, we are here to be better than Space Marines. All right. And so where does that put the Space Marines? I thought about this in a really fun kind of way. And it's like, do you guys know the Lucifer Blacks?
Yes.
Yeah.
So just cool, Croc, you can be our test group. So the fun thing about the Lucifer Blacks is they're a Imperial Guard regiment that were founded in the early days of the Great Crusade, and they've basically got this. And this is me grossly oversimplifying. So if I get something wrong, I'm not trying to be wrong. I'm just oversimplifying it. And the Lucifer Blacks were basically meant to be, hey, here's the peak of mortal soldiery. Here is the absolute best of the best of the just bog standard mortals, right? And so it was really funny because people who know about the Lucifer Blacks, they hold a really strange space in the sort of power scaling of Warhammer 40k, because you think of guardsmen, you think of space marines, you think of custodies, and somewhere in between a space marine and a guardsman is a Lucifer Black. And the argument is always, well, are they closer to the guardsmen or are they closer to the space marines? It's really hard to tell, because if you know anything about the Assassinorum, you know that with enough cocaine, mortal humans can do a lot of fucking damage, you know. And so it's a really interesting space. And I realized if the Custodies are the main faction in the setting, it relegates the entirety of the Adeptus Astartes to that unknown purgatory in the middle, where it's like, what's their power scaling? What are they really like? Because the Guard are this fixed thing, right? Just like we were talking about a moment ago, the Imperial Guard are always this fixed thing. You and I know what a mortal man can do because we are mortal men. And so where do the Space Marines lie if you load up the Games Workshop website or you search Warhammer 40k, and the first thing you see are these golden demigods. And so Space Marines end up in this weird sort of nuance in the middle where it's like, yeah, they're superhuman, but they're not the best. They're kind of like this weird spot in the middle. And so I imagine that the Space Marines would have this fun kind of fandom in the community that would be akin to the 7 people who are obsessed with the Lucifer Blacks, you know?
I really love the idea of having the Custodies being the poster boys of the setting. So to be perfectly frank, so this is the second time we're trying to record this episode. Thank you. Hi, Mozart P piano. This is the second time we record this episode. First time had to be. We had to stop mid-recording or something, if I remember correctly. Anyway, so I didn't. So I used to have notes for this episode, and then those notes disappeared. But before we started, Tom asked me, "Hey, Moots, do you have any notes?" And I just go, "Ah, shit, fuck." So
I think the words you were, and I quote, "Oh fuck, I had notes once upon a time," or something akin to that. So anyway, I scribbled down rogue traders and custodies on a fucking empty notepad. So custodies, I think, considering how, as you said, like how legendary they already are in comparison to Space Marines, I think just, it creates that extra step between the mortals and the custodians, because I mean, maybe it's because of proximity that we see like Space Marines and guardsmen work together a lot, and so they sort of diminish each other in a sense. If you understand what I mean, like but I don't think it's diminished, but it's that you can't help compare, and then when you compare, the power scaling comes in, even when you don't want it to. It's like when you think about Piccolo and Cell, it's like you don't want to diminish Piccolo because it's fucking Piccolo. But, but you can't help it, really, can you? I haven't watched Superhero, by the way. Please don't kill me, Dragon Ball fans. I'm sorry.
No, so I really love the idea of I love the idea of just eradicating the Space Marines. No, that's not what I mean. But I like the idea of having that.
That's actually such a meta thing to say, because 9 out of 10 of the named custodies who have dialogues where you get to hear their internal thoughts, they also love that idea too. Custodies are so racist towards Space Marines, it's fucking unreal. Sorry, continue, please carry
on. So I think it would create just this extra layer of, I mean, it would be in lore sort of like just how a normal human reacts to a Primarch most of the time, in a sense. It's Now, obviously, if we say, oh, Space Marines don't really exist in the same space as they do in canon, just having that, the Custodes being the really almost like archangels of some sort. Like they appear way more rarely than a Space Marine do.
Yeah.
And when they do, they fuck shit up.
Yeah. It's kind of like how when people try to sit there and hypothesize what's the power scaling like between a Space Marine and a Stormcast Eternal. And correct me if I'm wrong. I could well be wrong. I'm open to I'm open to not being correct on this. I'm open to, hey, here's a lore source that directly compares the two. But in my mind, I've always seen Stormcast Eternals as. So if someone quotes me in-game stats, I'm going to throw Zarek at you.
No, I'll be on their side.
I've always seen Stormcast Eternals as somewhere a little closer to the Custodes than the Space Marines. Not necessarily because of power scaling.
reputation.
Okay, well, you can shut the fuck. Not necessarily because of power scaling, but because the Stormcast and the Custodes share one thing in common that Space Marines don't have. And that is how the creation of them is described. Now, obviously, we know that the creation of the Stormcast is entirely magical. We know that to be 100% truth. The Custodes, it's quite fun because we don't know how Custodes are created, but there are several codexes and several codex quotes that describe their creation as arcane alchemy. This idea that to create, and that's really quite fun. Arcane is a really dangerous word to use in the context of Warhammer 40k. It's such a dangerous word because the connotations are quite simple. The connotations of the word arcane in 40k denote the warp. They denote the immaterium. They denote magical powers, which is obviously abusing the immaterium. And so that puts you in a place where it's like, well, who else is created like that? Who else was created with the arcane in Warhammer 40k? Oh, I know, the fucking Primarchs. And it puts you in this wonderful place where at least not necessarily in power, but at least in process, the Custodes are closer to the Primarchs than they are to the Space Marines, which to me says a Custodian and a Stormcast Eternal are closer in power than a Stormcast Eternal or a Custodian is to a Space Marine. Right, Zarek, I'm ready to hear your refute, and I'm ready to swear at you. Let's go.
When you said they had something in common, I thought you were about to say gold.
Listen, I'm a basic bitch, but I'm not white girl basic bitch. Do you understand?
I understand.
Your opinion I didn't realize your opinion of me was so.
It was only for a moment. No, but I do need to point out the Stormcast Eternals can just be killed by rocks thrown by Skaven.
Listen, if you,
I don't think a Custodian can be killed by a rock.
Nothing about the Stormcast Eternals and says everything about the Skaven.
Let me put it
different
this way.
setting, different power scaling.
Let me put it this way: there are stories in Age of Sigmar about mortal men, like a few of them ganging up and killing a Stormcast Eternal. You can't do that to a Custodian.
The whole difference between Stormcast and fucking Custodes is that when a Stormcast dies, they just appear at this big ass anvil, and Sigmar fucking hammers them back into shape. Which then creates another problem: is every time they're hammered, they lose a bit of their memory. They get storm dementia.
Man, imagine dying and then you get hammered. Very super cool, and then you just come back to life after being hammered. Nice.
Yeah. But
I think that's kind of fair.
There's a point I need to make about Custodes. Okay. Because we're talking about how cool they are, how awesome they are. Yeah, they are. They're cool. But I think we're getting away from the real meaning of what a poster child would be for 40k. And the issue with making Custodes the poster children is that by comparison, everything else is going to be garbage.
No. Wrong. Incorrect.
Explain.
Also, before I explain, I want to say you're absolutely right about the Stormcast Eternals. So just for the fucking 10 people in the audience who are going actually at Tom's Age of Sigmar knowledge, I'm here to be proven wrong. I'm not here to speak gospel. This ain't a church. The thing about Custodes that you are horrifically underestimating here is that if Custodes were the poster boys, It wouldn't be like the Space Marines. It wouldn't be about the pick your chapter crusading across the stars. It would be about these guys are the greatest warriors ever, but there isn't anywhere near enough of them, and they are just defending the last bastion of humanity. Now, you might go, well, the power scaling, this, and that, but it's like, it doesn't really matter. It doesn't matter how strong you are in 40k, because you and I both know that quantity, the Tyranids, you and I both know that quantity in 40k is just as much of a factor as quality.
Well,
And the Custodians, in as far as the quantity scale goes, they're fucked. They are not okay. There are more people who go to my local GW on like a weekly basis than there are Custodians. There's no fucking way you're telling me that if you turned all the guys that go to my GW into demigods that they're saving the galaxy. Ain't fucking happening.
Well, let me put it this way. What you've essentially done is you have made Space Marines 2, because originally Space Marines were the limited resource that there's not enough of. But because they were the poster children, they became the characters that everybody wanted to leave their indelible mark on. And thus, as a result, they became diluted in the universe.
That's true.
And I think
That's
this
fair.
is what would happen to Custodians. And this is why I stand as a proponent of Guard, because it doesn't matter how many different Guard regiments there are. It doesn't matter how unique they are, if they're elite, if they're not. The thing about Guard is that they're a perfect example of the one thing that all the options we've considered so far absolutely fail in. The Inquisition, the Rogue Traders, hell, even the Tau and Leagues of Votann, they all fail in scale.
I think that's a very good point. I think that's a very good point. The Guard are, if we look at that quantity versus quantity, or quality plus quantity, no matter where on the tier of importance you put the Imperial Guard in terms of fucking marketing, their quantity versus quality is a fixed point. It's a fucking absolute. Even if they were the poster boys, it's still, hey, there's loads of them and they die in fucking droves. So yeah, I think that's an entirely fair point. I totally get that. I think the Guard though, the Guard are really fun though as an idea for poster boys, because they see all of the crazy superhuman shit that happens in 40k as outsiders. There are more every single time a guardsman interacts with a Space Marine in a book. One of two things happens, and it depends who the main character is. It depends if the main character is the guardsman or the Space Marine, or closer to the guardsman or closer to the Space Marine. If it's closer to the guardsman, the interaction is like, whoa, these guys are fucking weird. And here's the fun part. If it's close to the Space Marine, it's like, hey, these little guys are fucking weird. Except we know as an audience, with Space Marines being sat there in the middle between Guardsmen and Custodies and every other thing that's got wacky power scaling in the setting, we as an audience sit here as a fixed point right in the middle and go, okay, well, Guardsmen are weaker and there's a lot of them. Custodies are stronger and there's less of them. So Space Marines sit in the middle, right? But putting a Guardsman as the poster faction, I think you get this one really cool thing. A degree of uncertainty, a degree of unknown. Now, obviously, the lore would have to be totally rewritten, but in this hypothetical, this all happened 40 years ago, so it's okay. And this comes back to this idea of the Custodies being the poster boys, where you have the Lucifer Blacks. Because the Lucifer Blacks are really fun, because we know all this information about them, but we've got no real metric to gauge that against. We've got no way of knowing, we all know they sit there in between Space Marines and Guardsmen, but we don't know why. And so I think it would be really cool with both Guardsmen and Custodies as the poster boy, either or, with Space Marines in the middle, where we have the opposite of what we have now, where we have so much power scaling for Space Marines that it's super fucking inconsistent and no one can decide on what's true and what's not. Versus if we had Custodies or Guardsmen as the poster boys, Space Marines would sit in this place of unknown. We don't actually know. And that would make them so much fucking cooler. I'm sorry. The unknown, and things that are unknown in 40k just beg for intrigue. And the Space Marines coming back to that place like they were in like 1995, 1996, or even the early 2000s, pre-Badab, would have been sick,
I have a proposal for you. That's right. Oh. I'm still here. So, I'm not the best with segues, but fuck you.
Cool.
In effect.
Wait. You can call me a cunt.
You can't. What?
Whoa.
I think one of the really important things to establish here is what would change in the law. And the way I thought about this when we went about it last time is changing how the heresy happened. So the heresy, this big civil war, cracked open the Imperium. The legions went down to chapters. But what if it went a step further? Space Marines are the Emperor's failed experiment, regarded with disgust by all who know them, and are so very few in numbers they are practically extinct. Which then gives so many other factions the limelight.
Yeah.
I agree with Zarek in the sense that Guard are a really good lens for this, because that's what they should be, is a lens for the setting. You relate to a guardsman way more you do than like this unknowable demigod. If you're a guardsman, if you're a guy in the 40k universe, you work at a shit-tip food processing plant, but your dad died, you went off to war. You get sent to the scholar, get a education, or off to the military. You're handed this futuristic laser weapon, well-fitting flak armor, and told to go fight that giant 12-foot-tall tyrannid beast. You're done.
Yeah.
But I think if Space Marines weren't the poster boys, we'd be able to get something that 40k, in my opinion, has missed for a good amount of time, and that is a sense of scale of warfare.
Yeah, that's so
true
fucking
scale.
real. Yeah.
Last time we recorded this, I had a little bit of primer, and I've still got it, so I'll be damned if I'm not going to use it. For more than 100 centuries, mankind has battled throughout the stars. On endless battlefields, the very gods themselves walk the earth. To be alive in these times is to be amongst untold billions sacrificed to the great machine of war. But for very few, this is a necessary evil. You are princeps, and wherever you walk, devastation follows. That's right.
Yeah.
Not only do I think Titan Legions should be the poster boys, I think Epic Scale should have been the fucking bog standard, dude. Oh yeah! It solves so many fucking issues. When you change the lens you focus from, it is not on the ground as the guardsman. It is not these elite strike Astartes. You are the god of the battlefield. Everything around you is minuscule. Fucking doesn't matter unless it's in major numbers. It completely blows apart power scaling because the scale is gone. It changes 40k from this cruel, indifferent setting to a kick-ass, like, huge apocalyptic warfare monster mash with ancient adepts of this 10,000-year machine cult piloting avatars of their gods that behave like battleships on the land, the very beings that command the landscape of battle. And there's these little elite strike teams of Astartes that can be sent to go kill a commander. That's fine. I'm in a warlord and a full heavy artillery maniple. I'm going to blow up the whole fucking castle, you know?
What's so fun about this is... Oh, sorry, did I interrupt you?
No, you go. Anyone can jump in. I'm going to just keep rambling about Epic Scale. Unless someone stops me.
I'm glad I chose my intro.
What I love about this idea is the possibility of expanding on every other faction's sort of titans. Because suddenly, of course, you'd be excited about this, Mr. DeBron James. But
DeBron James?
Like, just literally forcing GW in this parallel universe to like just focus on all these other giant fucking things that can exist. Suddenly 40k becomes a fucking mech setting, you know?
It's really good. It completely changes how things operate, but it doesn't mean everything necessarily has to have Titan analogs.
No.
It is simply a case of, it's no longer what equivalent does this faction have to Terminators? It's what does this faction have that can challenge God? With the Tyranids, it's Hierophant Bio-Titans. With Chaos, it's Chaos Titans. But then you get to more interesting factions like the Tau, who have swarms of specialized battlesuits capable of outmaneuvering the God Engines and picking them apart. Or the Necrons, where they've got fucking huge monoliths firing disintegration beams. And the Kin.
Yeah.
Choo-choo!
Well, the Kin are quite fun as well, because you know what this actually does for more written lore? This puts you in a place where you have to normalize the Titans. It puts you in a place where you have to humanize them. It puts them in a place where, much like we see with Space Marines in Hell's Reach and the Horus Heresy novels with Garvey Loken, etc., it puts you in a place where your main characters, who are these god beings, have to become normalized and humanized so that they can then face off against greater things. So they can then all exist in the same setting as greater things, which is actually really fun because the kin are uniquely equipped to provide something for that. And that is the, I can't remember exactly what they're called, but they're the world-eating machines that the kin have, where they have these giant planet-sized engines that devour planets. For their resources, of course. And this is a really fun sort of thing to hint at. And then the idea is obviously that this is included in a story in some capacity, right? Where you have a god engine on a planet and it needs to complete this objective. And if it doesn't complete this objective, the kin are going to come along and eat the world, right? And it's really fun because it's changing the parameter of your users and your consumers' point of view to something so colossal and gargantuan. Really does a good job of bringing out the even more colossal and epic things that exist in 40k. It's like that one book from like 1990 something or other where it talked about, these guys went through the warp and they found a bloodthirster the size of a solar system. And it's like, oh! You know what I mean?
Bring back Little Big 40k, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah, Little Big 40k, yeah. The thing you just mentioned there with the planet-eating fucking thing, that starts sounding awfully Dark Age of technology with those fucking things that just bite off continents from planets. Or
well, that is kind of what... that's what the Votan are. I mean, unofficially, they are the Men of Stone.
Yeah.
You know, unconfirmed, yada yada. Suck out. They are the Men of Stone. They are the genetic workforce of the golden age of humanity. And you see it in their weapons, you see it in their design, you see it in their philosophy, deformed into this ancestors thing, because the ancestors were these guys who actually served the human race in a greater capacity. And there's so much hypothesization. It's kind of why loads of people were sort of disappointed with the story was called the High Karl or something? The High Karl. The High Karl's
fine.
But well, that's the problem, because it was fine, but we know that if Games Workshop really wanted to delve into the history of the Votan with a novel, we would get some stuff that would talk about, and this is what they are the lens for, that the general audience cares about. It doesn't mean to say that, no disrespect to the Votan fans. I know there's Karl Mario in the Discord is probably listening to this right now, ready to throw a brick through my window. No disrespect to them as a standalone thing, but as far as the general 40k audience goes, who only care about Space Marines and humanity, which is fine, you're allowed to care about that. The Votan serve as this really great lens to view humanity in hypothesis with what they were 20,000 years ago. And I think Great Games Workshop would be making a mistake if they didn't have more hints and tidbits towards that. I think that's something they should absolutely exploit. And High Karl's Oath, the book is the embodiment of I didn't dislike it, but it's nothing anyone's going to write home about, which is really fucking sad, because every single codex or codex style bit of writing about the Votan, such as the Votan Into the Dark book, fucking slapped. The lore we got from those fucking slapped. And then they get a book and it's like a resounding meh.
So go ahead.
I was going to say, speaking of the Men of Stone, the stone lions in and around Stockholm inner city were designed by Anders or
Okay, no, never mind. Right. I think we're getting... I think we're getting a little bit abstracted here. We're talking about the whole meta plot of 40k. This is a plot that's not really discussed in the books, but it's a plot that we can piece together from, primarily, frankly, the 3rd edition core rulebook, which is where most of the story comes from, and that most readers and players and fans of 40k will not have access to, unlike myself. Now,
and me, I also have it now.
You do. Now, something I want to look back around to with Titans is the practicality of this as the focus. And if 40k as a franchise was focused on Titans, and I think Titans, in the way that they are distinct from mechs, or the idea of mechs. A Titan is something else. And for
Titans
that reason,
are battleships.
They absolutely are. And for this reason, I would love to see them be the poster children, because that would mean we'd get 40k video games where you and your friends can play as a Titan crew.
Yes.
I would want nothing more than for me and a couple friends to play as the Princeps and a couple of Moderati, controlling this giant, slowly lumbering piece of shit. It would combine all the clunkiness of like indie title games like Iron Lung, where the controls kind of defy you as you interact with a world that is external to you, but also with sort of epic scale and, you know, mech combat you'd get from a game like Titanfall. However, the difference here is that you're not just a mech running around, very limber, punching things, very quick fighting. You get a real sense of gravitas with everything you do as a Titan. Everything carries weight.
Do you know the game Guns of Icarus?
I do know Guns of Icarus, of course.
What do you explain there? I just imagined a game where you're this crew, but playing as if this is the Guns of Icarus game. That'd be so fucking sweet.
That would be amazing, yeah. So for people who don't know, Guns of Icarus, it's a very steampunk game. You play as a Victorian crew on an airship flying around, and everyone has to run around, repair things. It's like Sea of Thieves, but in the sky.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's a whole lot more. Everyone sort of has their own station, their own skills. Like some things are better at. Barotrauma is, I guess,
Barotrauma
example.
Yes.
Unfortunately, clubbing your teammate to death because you're bored is not conducive to the continued operation of Titan.
No.
But
it should be allowed.
It is conducive to my happiness, so you know.
Well, exactly. Yeah.
90% of Barotrauma games are, I found a guitar. You spend 20 minutes playing the guitar, get bored, and beat your mate to death with a wrench because you picked the reactor repair guy, so you just sit there and do nothing.
Well, here's a part, right, that you can do with a Titan game, is that not only are you in this mech, but that your mech can have borders, and that you might need to repel them.
What? Okay, explain that a bit more. You mean that you need fucking border patrols in your fucking...
Well yes, you do.
You have Sekitari.
That's what the Sekitari are for. But with this in mind, you can even expand the number of people that are manning a single Titan. You could have, say, 2 Moderati and a Princeps on an Emperor class, but then you'd also require a Tech Priest as your engineer, basically. And you'd probably want some kind of a Sekitari Prime or something. An Alpha or that one Skitari named character that I refuse to remember the name of because it's dumb.
Don't give me false hope. Do you have any idea how fucking cool it would be scaling a Titan's legs to repel invaders as a Sekitari Primus?
It would be incredible. It would be so cool. And you'd actually have to work as a team, and if you fail as the Sekitari Prime, then all the people inside the main chamber are going to have to take their las pistols out and crank 90s, otherwise they die.
It leads to a really funny thing. Imagine talking about the fucking meta in that game. Oh, fuck Legio Ornax, dude. Fucking goddamn Ursus Claw spam. That's bullshit.
I think one of the things that, just to go off topic a little bit, I think one of the things that we kind of touched at with the, say off topic, probably back on topic, with the, that's an Astartes Anonymous podcast where someone mistakes going off topic with being off I think one of the things that I think would be really cool that I think maybe Games Work, actually, I'm going to bitch for a sec. No, I'll save that for the end. I'll save that for anyone who hangs around to the end of the podcast. I got a real bitch-worthy comment. But one of the things that I think maybe people and suddenly 40k could use a lot more of is that real small scale stuff. And I think that's something that GW has not paid much attention to in the last 7 or 8 years with the introduction of Primaris. And the Primaris stories. Now, I'm not going to say I dislike them. I have no problem with most of them. Although I will say that Dawn of Fire is boring as sin, but that's another fucking episode. I think one of the things that we Less. This is less me talking about here's a substitute faction, and more me talking about the problem with Space Marines as a prominent faction, specifically Primaris Space Marines, because I don't think we had this problem before. And that's we used to have so much. Do you guys just hear my cat?
Yes. I thought it was like an alarm of some sort.
Cat cam.
That's the boy. One of the problems we have with this Primaris era Space Marines is humans and humanity and people stories, human stories, the stories you can empathize with seem to have taken a back seat in 40k, which is really unfortunate because one of the big things about 40k that's always been true is this great grim darkness of the far future. And this was always so held up, not by the Space Marines, but everything but them. Everything else. Anytime you heard about the Space Marines, you either heard about a glorious victory, a glorious death, or a horrifying victory, or a horrifying death. But these things are quick. These things are over in a heartbeat. Suffering, real, true suffering, was never anything to do with Space Marines. Not in grand narratives. And that's something that I think the Primaris era of 40k has really suffered from, this idea that we can't see that anymore. If you fast forward, if you rewind back to Eisenhorn stories starting in 2001, Eisenhorn Xenos. That's where you see it all the way back there. In fact, fuck it. Even if you go back to 2006, 2007, when you see the start of the Horus Heresy series, thereabouts, it was 2006. It's around that sort of time. You still see it there. Fuck it. Even if you go back to Aaron Dembski-Bowden's Night Lord Omnibus, you still get human mortal suffering.
Yeah.
But if you come to the Primaris era Space Marines, and even if you sit there and you go, I love Primaris, I love the Redemptor Dreadnought, I love these Primaris upgrades, yada yada. Even if you love that, which is fine, you're allowed to, that's totally okay. Shit, a lot of it I love, to be honest. The Primaris Judicia, that was never a thing before Primaris. That thing fucking slaps. Prior to those sorts of things, if you wanted to see human stories and human love and death and suffering, you could see it through a Space Marine lens, but with the introduction of Primaris, you can't now. And when the times you do are these tiny fucking glimpses that don't really hold a candle to what you used to have.
Can I step in here? Because there is a point I want to make about Primaris, and I think it's something that no one really discusses.
Maybe I'll do my bitching fit after you're done. Go on.
Yeah, here, I want to make a point here. Now, I don't think this was intentional, but Primaris could have been the thing that made Space Marines no longer the poster boys of 40k as a faction. Now, let me explain why. When Games Workshop first introduced Age of Sigmar, people were frankly not that interested. The thing about our Stormcast Eternals is that they have a core issue that prevents people from getting particularly interested in them as characters. And that's that they all have the same backstory.
Mm.
They're all taken moments before their death by a Sigmar and forged into a warrior with limited memories of their previous lives.
Yeah.
This repeated again with Primaris, where when they were introduced, they were all snatched away by Karl as children from various places across the Imperium throughout time. They didn't get to grow up. They never matured, so they never had a growing up story or made friends or enemies as scouts. They didn't have particular encounters growing up. And so what you effectively had was tens of thousands of characters churned out into the setting who all have the same backstory.
Yeah.
Now, can I ask, Tom, in all the time you've spent reading people's homebrews, how many of the main characters, like chapter masters and things, have been one of Karl's direct productions, like one of these vat frozen people?
I can give you a number.
What is that number?
I've kept count of this. This is crazy.
Really?
This is actually fucking crazy. Yeah, the answer is 3.
Wow.
I've read maybe 200 homebrews. Fucking nobody wants their chapter mark. I'll tell you what the most common one is. The most common one is a captain or a lieutenant from one of the first founding chapters. That's the most common one. The second most common is a guy with no real backstory. He's from buttfuck nowhere. But look at him now. Nobody says, my chapter master was one of Karl's legion. Nobody said, and the reason nobody wants to say that, I know you're gonna get around to saying this anyway, but I'll jump the gun a little. Is because nobody wants nobody's favorite character in 40k is a blank fucking slate.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. This is not a setting for self-inserts most of the time.
Well, that ain't gonna stop people.
No, but that's one of the very interesting things. Is that, you can have your self-insert, but really, it's far more fun when you don't do that. They're your dudes, but they're not you.
It also it probably helps because 40k is like really steeped in this hardship and cruelty. I don't think there's any 40k fans who'd like have the hands-on experience to accurately portray themselves in the Imperium Man.
Yeah, any of these guys grow up in like Soviet Russia or something.
And like,
probably
if they do, my condolences.
You may have a self-insert.
Speak for yourself, bro. I know what I'm like, and I know what a servitor is like. We have a lot in common.
I think it's funny, right? I think the only ones that I know of where people actually actively choose to have their homebrews be from that call stock is people who want to have their primaries be from trader stock.
Tom, could you comment on your 3 examples? Were any of them from traitor stock?
2.
Yeah. I fucking knew it.
Oh my god.
That begs the question: who was the one?
Wait, I'm sorry, I got to chime in. Both of them were Iron Warriors.
Oh.
Yeah, it's funny. Okay, so I based this entirely on the fact that that's what I did with my fucking homebrew. The first
was one of them yours. Was one of them yours.
In before I changed it, of course. But yeah, no. And they were also Iron Warriors, so hell yeah.
Here's the thing. I don't think there's any problem with any of this. This isn't I got to say this now because Sarah, she's so hateful. This isn't a commentary on homebrewing. I will always stand by. If I say something about homebrewing and you turn around to me and say, Tom, I disagree with you. And I'll say, why? And you'll say, because doing insert thing makes me happy. I will never have any comeback to that. You will be right. Down to the number. Cat, please, my guy. This isn't about you. I will never have any comeback to that. So, if you're doing a homebrew and like you want to do some fucky-wucky shit, be my guest. You absolutely fucking go for it. And if I chime into the chat and I try and fucking actually you, just say, Tom, this makes me happy. And I will shut the fuck up because that's so important. That is absolutely so important. That being said, the amount of loyalist Iron Warriors homebrews is way too fucking hard. There's too many. Why is there never any loyalist like word bearers homebrews or loyalist like fucking?
Because no one gives a shit about the word bearers. That's why.
The word bearers are fucking great. No one wants to give them the time of day though because Erebus memes.
I just started my war band.
Here's the fun one. I need something. I'm sorry, Moots. I'm so sorry. I got to talk about Legio. Yeah. I got to talk about Legio's Astobiacs here. Come on, Karl.
Of course.
Let's fucking go, buddy.
All right. Christ, Jesus Christ. Go ahead.
How many podcasts have we talked about this one?
I've mentioned Legio's Astobiacs in one YouTube video and 3 podcasts, but don't worry, I'll make it at least 10 for each. We're all good. So Legio's Astobiacs, fun part. I'm not going to go over their whole story. We'll be here for another. I'll tell you what. I'll just insert the whole last podcast and the YouTube video into this part of the video. Legio's Astobiacs, as a part of their story, we learn that there's like a whole company of loyalist Thousand Sons, which in the Horus Heresy era is at least 1,000 Marines. Loyalist Thousand Sons who skipped out on the fucking bullshit that was Prospero. And basically had to fight off Dark Angels and all sorts of shenanigans. So, like, there is room for loyalist Thousand Sons out there. New theory. The loyalist Thousand Sons from Zhao Arkhad who were saved by Legio's Astobiacs, they're the Blood Ravens. That's it. That's the one.
I don't think that's a new theory.
Oh, I thought you were going to say they were actually Iron Warriors.
Yeah, I mean, I love the Iron Warriors, but man, if I have to see another Iron Warriors homebrew, I'll pat you on the back for making you happy, and then I'll shoot myself in a cupboard.
This is the perfect little segue into another faction I think are a brilliant contender. for our new poster children. And that is Chaos. Specifically, Chaos Marines.
You spoke to me about this before privately, about how it would like change the actual like almost socio-cultural dynamic and perception of the setting if Chaos were the protagonists.
Yeah, and I think the reason that Chaos work is because, as I said earlier, at the core of 40k is the Imperium. The Imperium as a government and as a faction within the setting is central to the ideas and themes that people come to it for, that we enjoy about it, that adds to the scale and the depth and the grotesqueness. By setting up Chaos as our protagonists, we get a very different story that goes on. And we get a lot less of that Imperium glazing that is quite common, and that most people who've read a few dozen books, and so you're going to say, yeah, I'm kind of tired of it.
Yeah.
And I think the really big thing here is that what we end up looking at is a setting where physically and mentally corrupted murderers are fighting against the institutionally corrupt empire that made them and that they made. By framing the Imperium both as product and progenitor of these horrific monsters, they help to characterize what the Imperium really is beneath the surface, beneath all the gold trim, beneath all the filigree, and the noble honor that's parroted by propaganda machines. We get to know the truth, and the truth is the thing we learn first. You don't have to read the Night Lord's Omnibus to understand it. You don't have to go and like reconsider your understanding of like the core rulebook. It's all framed as, this is what they made.
Yeah.
This is what made them, and they still hate it.
I think a sort of tangent on that would be, because I was sitting here thinking about the possibility of doing like having the poster boys sort of still be Space Marines, but more in a sort of pirate setting as opposed to necessarily straight up Chaos. Although, as a Space Marine pirate, you're liable to become corrupted to Chaos eventually. So, but like instead of, since we're saying, okay, Space Marines are sort of out, what if instead of having like either Chaos or Imperium, straight up just pirates, these like literally outlaws, the outlaws of society who lives outside of it, and their perspective on all of this, on the rest of the galaxy, on whatever it is they see, whatever it is they meet. And Sweden has one of the highest number of elks living in the wild. But like, the thing is that
my guy, what the fuck is wrong with you?
Is that
I'm so glad I can say cunt
so
on the podcast. You are such a cunt. I swear to God, Boots.
Whoa! What are you on about? No, I don't understand.
See, what you're describing is actually unaffiliated rogue traders.
Yes.
Which is actually a really interesting take. The idea, because when we think about rogue traders, we look at all their freedom and intrigue, colorful characters, the idea that they can pull their retinues and parties from, here, and here. But the idea of a rogue trader who's faction unaffiliated, but with all the same access, pirates, well-funded or well-resourced pirates, is a really cool idea. If you mention Elk again, I'm killing Croc.
I think pirates lend in really well to a Chaos focus, because if the Heretic Marines stand as our faction focus for the setting, we get to have the disambiguation. We get to have rules specific to yet uncorrupted Marines, and we get to look more closely at the steps along that journey. There was a real push from GW, I think around about the 6th, 7th edition era, and we got Codex Crimson Slaughter.
Oh, okay. Okay, this is going to get interesting now.
So this whole book is essentially about the descent of, I believe they were the Crimson Blades. That was their name?
The Crimson Sabres.
Crimson Sabres, thank you, Tom. And how, by banishing a demon they were cursed, and how this curse led them down a dark path. Even as they tried to clear themselves of this curse and to banish it, they couldn't help but fall, because that was all they could do anymore. And I think stories like that are what GW for a minute felt like doing for Chaos, because I remember I got into 40k around this era, end of 6th, beginning of 7th, and this was the big push. The main focus of Chaos were on renegade warbands, things that carried the line, groups that might not quite dedicate themselves to the gods. So I remember the rules being very pliant.
Sorry, I want to jump in. I want to jump in here because I know we've got a big homebrew audience. The Crimson Sabers turning into the Crimson Slaughter is one of the big if someone mentions the Ashen Claws,
Astral Claws.
I'm breaking Croc's legs. The Crimson Sabers turning into the Crimson Slaughter. And one of the big reasons we know that once a chapter loses the Imperium's favor, the fall to Chaos is all but confirmed. It's all but absolute. And it's a really interesting thing to think about, because the belief in the Emperor, the belief in the Imperium, the favor of the Imperium, and the Imperium's faith in you is an unspoken protective shield from Chaos. And as soon as you lose that, this fall is inevitable, because listen, here's the thing. There's a billion chapters who've killed demon princes, right? Or greater demons. That alone is seldom enough. It takes all these other corroborating factors. And these corroborating factors aren't based in fact. They're based in faith. They're based in the dissolution of faith, the dissolution of themes. And if I have to hear anything about the Ashen Claws, I swear to God, I'm going to take Croc outside and I'm going to beat him to death with a tire iron.
I didn't even do anything. I didn't do anything at all. These are my boys. They follow me everywhere.
I'm so sorry. I guess I was just thinking about the Ashen Claws. I'm really sorry.
But yeah, this was a vision that we had for a relatively brief window. People who were also around playing Chaos at the same time as me, you may remember all the boxes for the Chaos kits were painted as Crimson Slaughter, not as Black Legion. It was a focus, and on the backs they'd show the Purge, the Flawless Host, all these cool little war bands, because they really wanted to push this idea.
That lovely Dark Angels Crimson Slaughter box, the one that had the one of a kind Chaos Champion and that amazing Chaos Lord that we never saw again.
Mm-hmm.
Thanks, GW.
Thanks, GW. Thanks, Obama.
Thanks, Obama. Very cool.
I actually have one of those chosen from that box set sitting on my desk right now with his arms snipped off because I stole them.
Why would you do that to him?
Reskilled Mark 6. I gave them to a reskilled Mark 6 Marine. But with a focus on Chaos, not only are we looking at these Marines and this whole narrative of their connection to the Imperium and their relationship to it, both as progenitor and product. We get Chaos Guard, baby. I love Chaos Guard and Dark Mechanicum.
You will only get the red hand. You will get nothing but the red hand, and you'll be happy that you got the red hand, and you will get nothing else. No blue hands, no green hands, only the red hand. They're like the only Chaos Guard regiment that's been mentioned multiple times, unless I'm getting no Blood Pact. That's the name. I don't know where the fuck I got red hand from.
Yeah, I was very confused.
Who the fuck are the red hand?
Sorry. Are we not going to talk about the Mobian Sixth?
Oh, okay. We have to.
You can talk about Chaos Guard, and we're not going to mention the Mobian Sixth. Are we like having a bubble here? We've got characters, we've got vague motivations, we've got a terrible plot line that's explained very, very vaguely. But I love the Mobian Sixth.
I did get a good story summary.
The new campaign does a really much better job at explaining things.
Mm-hmm.
We're talking about Dark Guard, by the way. Everyone who's out of the loop, the Mobian Sixth, they're a traitor guard regiment.
Oh, they're so cool. I love them. Right. Quick backstory. Because clearly not everyone's aware. The Mobian Sixth were on campaign on a Nurgle-infested jungle world. While there, something happened. Wolver, one of their captains, was corrupted and chosen by Nurgle, and thus the whole regiment fell. They have a narrative not too dissimilar to a number of Space Marine chapters that have fallen, and that's one of the things that makes them so interesting. Okay, I'm done.
Cool. Go away. The Mobian Sixth are really cool. I think one of the things as well about the Mobian Sixth that we can't not mention while bringing them up, and this is something that I think a lot of people forget about the Mobian Sixth, is that in the current era of 40k and the 40k fandom, the Mobian Sixth have quite literally defined the image of the Traitor Guard. When most people who have gotten to 40k in the last half decade or even the last decade who think of Traitor Guardsmen, before they think of the Red Hand or even the Chaos Cultist kill team, they think of the Mobian Sixth. They are the visual embodiment of Traitor Guardsmen. I think that's just such a cool thing. Like, you think of the gunner with the triple optic with his big helm, his big green helm. It's just like, ugh. The Mobian Sixth are such a vibe. Even if they're just like, if you think about like competency and like efficiency and actual achievements, the Mobian Sixth are like rock fucking bottom. They've done what? Struggled to control half a fucking Hive City. Come on, guys, get it together. But visually,
if you were a Traitor Guardsman and you saw these fuck ass bums show up, tear apart like 2 battalions all by themselves, there's a fucking be me. Join the Mobian Sixth. Go to Jungle World. Like fucking, get corrupted by Nurgle. Come back. The Ogryn has a heavy stubber that does not let up firing after 2 hours. I don't know where he gets the bullets from. You absolutely cannot blame them. The RBGs are here now.
They got
brutality
on their hands now.
I watched a single arbitrator walk up to a plague Ogryn and keep smacking it with its shield until it stopped moving. That shouldn't have worked. The demon hosts run away from them because they get parking violations.
We get sanctioned for loitering.
Can't park your demon house there, mate. That's going to be a mercy sanction.
Can you imagine being a demon, like this ancient being in the Immaterium? It's like, I can't be asked to go to the Immaterium. The parking fines, they're too much. Refuse to exit hell because of that shit alone. Oh, God. I love the
imagine
RBGs.
Being a demon. You get your senses again in the real world for the first time, and you stare down a shield as they just fucking raise their maul and flashbang you 3 times consecutively.
Oh God, yeah, it's a bad time. It's a bad time to be the Mobian Sixth. I'm not gonna lie. The amount of fucking homeless dickheads that have just butchered entire hordes of the Mobian Sixth is really quite a troubling factor for them, to be honest. Could you imagine being Captain Wolver and hearing a report about 4 homeless dickheads killed? Looks at number 2 million of the Mobian Sixth last weekend.
It's canon. There's when they released the Stims missions. There's literally the whole bit where a dialogue chain you can get is Wolfer talking to one of his captains where they can't figure out the size of the enemy force attacking because of the amount of casualties they're incurring. And the whole thing is, Wolfer's like, there's no way 4 dudes did this. It doesn't make any fucking sense. As you are playing, you the player with your 3 chums are being the ones that did this.
The house comms dialogue is immaculate.
I'd like to refer back to my earlier comment about giving mortal the capacity of the utter scale of change. Simply giving a mortal cocaine can commit to the setting. Now give 4 mortals cocaine amongst the other stims they get in the game. That's what 4 random dickheads can do to the setting.
4 dickheads in a dream full of cocaine.
That's where I tell you, that's the perspective we should have on the setting. 4 fucking cracked out dickheads on the Hive City of Tertium on the planet of Atoma versus some fucking inept Nurglite twats. That is that is peak 40k.
Indeed.
Here's the reason it works. And the reason it works is because at the end of the day, the difference is still not that great. It is exceptional. It is extraordinary what these 4 people can do every time they go out there. But it's still not quite making a dent.
Well, it's because you got to remember, whenever you think about 40k, you got to think, can you say the line, "There is only war"?
Yeah. But that's what I love.
Because
it
there is
keeps it
only
going.
war. And the war
Right.
never ends, because there is only war.
I'm sorry, Croc.
Because it's the
Ladies and
grim
gentlemen,
darkness of the...
we've been on this topic for
I
just
was
over an
expecting
hour.
people to laugh.
An hour?
Yeah.
Hour?
Oh, there's one more thing
Alright.
I'd like to bring up, Tom.
Of course
It's
there
very
is.
brief.
Is it important?
Yes, it's very, very important.
Uh-oh.
Go on then.
There's one Xenos faction that I think can be our poster children.
Oh,
that
for
could
fuck's sake.
contend. You know what's coming.
No, okay, go on.
let me read you a little introduction I wrote, because I think it might tickle thy pickle.
So many primers today. Damn.
Right,
I'm impressed, guys.
Oh,
Let's begin.
oh, okay, I'm back. I just disconnected. It says recording error. I
Oh
don't
my
know if this is
God.
going to be bad.
Trust me, you lost. Nothing of value was lost, Croc. You're okay.
Right.
When did I
Croc,
disappear
it's okay.
from?
It's okay, Croc.
Zarek said
Just
she had
listen.
something important to talk about, which means
Right.
it's not important, but we're letting her do it anyway.
Listen to this. Listen to this.
When
I'm gonna
Zach was
die.
talking about the fucking it makes no difference. I said, but don't you see, Zarek? There was only war. Then it was all quiet and.
Oh, you did die. I see.
Is it worth double checking the recording? Because it now says uploading recordings, which mildly concerning.
That's Croc killed the fucking podcast.
Amazing.
If I leave the studio and rejoin.
It says the recording's still going for me. Is this
No.
Croc?
It says uploading recordings because we are uploading as we go.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Don't worry.
Don't stress,
Listen, Croc.
don't stress.
Croc. If it's fucked, Croc, and we have to re-record, you could do it all on your own.
Okay.
That'll be the third. That means we have to do this same topic for the third fucking time. I think
Please,
that's the
okay.
universe saying enough.
Let me finish, please. God, let me finish. All right. The final faction would have the following introduction.
It is the 41th millennium. For more than 1 billion somethings, some gits have been fighting. And by the will of Gork and Mork, the boys have been winning. To be allowed in such times is proper fun. Forget the promise of stupid bits like waiting and counting. For in the darkness of the far future, there's only war and the laughter of some git's boss.
Yes. I'm so here for it. Amazing.
On a serious note,
Fuck yeah.
you could bring the setting all the way back to the wacky, happy, funny, original Rogue Trader setting with that light, very sarcastic sensibility. And Grots get to be their own army. End pitch.
Hell yeah. I'm here for it.
Grots? Grot faction? Grot
Many.
uprising?
Hardcore 6.
Oh no!
I got epic scale and I got armored core 6. This is gonna be a bingo.
We need to set up a new bingo fucking card.
It's just 2 squares. Croc mentions epic scale. Croc mentions armored core 6. Your reward, mercy sanction.
Right.
Now, Tom, we may end.
Go on, Zarek.
I said now we may end. I'm done.
Thank
I'm
you.
all done.
Okay, I got
Right,
I got
no,
one-
you.
no,
No, I don't want to hear about Armored Core fucking
No.
6.
I just there's one more faction I need to touch on because it's silly.
My brother.
It's coming.
I alluded to it before the recording. But 40k, as a setting, is so incredibly steeped with pain and suffering and cruelty. And imagine if you took all that nuance and threw it out the fucking window by putting Dark Eldar as the focus faction. Where in fact, it is now entirely a story about Comora, because Comora's really interesting, and we get to learn literally anything about Azrubadil Vect, who is like one of the coolest characters in 40k that we know
Is he, though?
nothing about. does not appear in any books beyond as a side character. And
Lilith has
everything
correct.
else in 40k is relegated to fucking side
Oh.
plot whenever you need to go
God.
shopping for pain
Yeah.
and suffering in a trip to real space.
You know what I love to do? I love to sit down in front of my television late at night and put on a horror movie where the Cenobites from Hellraiser are actually the protagonists. So that's such a goddamn mind-bogglingly groundbreaking idea. You fucking dickhead.
It's just silly. You throw away all the nuance and just have it be like fucking Dark Eldar politics, which is excellent. Are you telling me you wouldn't want to read a story, like a fucking trilogy of books, where at the end, the main character pisses off Vect, so he sends him the fucking black hole box, and that's how it ends?
I'd like to send you the fucking black hole box, right? We're going to the ending.
No,
We're
wait.
moving
I
on.
want one
No!
more thing. One more
We
thing.
all
One
get
last
We
thing.
all
One last
get
thing.
one!
Look, the city of Kiruna in Sweden is home to the world's largest underground
Okay,
iron
no,
ore.
never
Really?
mind.
You want to enable this,
Listen,
Darren?
listen.
This is what you want to enable?
The north,
You want
the
to
north
listen
of
to this?
the north of the Kiruna is being relocated building by building because of safety concerns. Some houses are directly lifted and moved by a massive truck.
Croc, I need to kill you.
Honestly, dude, fair enough. Just like put me down already.
Yeah.
Dude, I thought you were just going to come out with a slave
I'm
economy.
going to be
slave
honest. I'm
economy.
gonna be honest, Moots. I don't know how you did it. I know you weren't born yet, but the dissolution of the Kalmar Union was your fucking fault.
My worst nightmare. Fuck.
But yes,
Right.
since
We're
Since
moving.
Zach alluded to
Fuck
it.
you. Fuck you. We're moving to the end.
I
We're
gotta mention
moving
it.
to the end.
I have to
No,
do this.
You've
I
already
have to do
mentioned
this.
it.
No, it's a double. My only notes for the fucking
Double
Dark
makes
Eldar
sense.
stuff was slave economy, slave economy.
I hope you fucking get hit by a bus.
But Zarek mentioned it. I have to give them context. They can't know why Zarek just randomly said slave economy.
Oh, you actually deserve to fall in a hole and like never climb out. Right. Moving on. Patron question for today. So, first off, get in the nid. Shinji asks, what model did you first finish that made you go, I love this hobby? So, thank you, Shinji. My first model that made me go, I really love this hobby. Oh, it wasn't actually one of the first models I did. I did quite a bunch before I went, God, I fucking love this. It was the first time I made a Contemptor Dreadnought. The first time I finished a Contemptor Dreadnought and me going, fuck me, this shit slaps. I think that was the start of my fall to realizing Horus Heresy was better than 40k, but that's just me. Right, next.
For me, I mean, I would have to say it's the first time I put together a Space Marine. That, you know, that little test Space Marine you got when you got into the store and that you painted.
Oh.
I hated my first Space Marine. It was a Chaos Space Marine biker, and I looked at him like he just fucking punched me. It sucked. I hated it.
For full context, I still have that mini. It sucks. It's the worst thing I've ever painted in my entire life, but I love it. It's that's really just the thing that got me into 40k in the end, and I would never throw it away.
Excellent. Zarek, give us some esoteric fucking shit.
Yeah, my first box set wasn't start collecting, it was before then. But there was a box set for the Dark Eldar. I was building them up, and it was building my first raider on a grey carpet. It was hell, it was pain. It hurt my fingers so much building that thing. But when it was done, I don't think I'd ever been so happy with something I'd made.
Entirely fair.
Slave economy, slave economy.
Croc!
Now look, I know what you're all thinking. I'm gonna mention epic scale, but I'm fucking not. Do you have any idea how single-minded my approach to this fucking hobby was? I started with the Dark Vengeance box. Don't give a shit about any of that. Like, highlight Venerable box? No. When it was still around, the fucking Imperial Knights of Renegade box, I eyed that like a fucking whore.
That's actually a deep cut. That's very cool.
When I got
That's very
those
cool.
two Questoris Knights in hand, I was never fucking happier. And I miss back in the days when an actual viable strategy was not putting your knights together because they might fall into each other when they die.
Oh. Did you ever actually play the game in that box?
No. Not once. I
Yeah,
don't even know where I
not
put the terrain. I've lost it. I don't know where it went.
Oh my god.
So
It's gone. That
stolen.
terrain's probably really fucking valuable as well, actually.
Do you have the rule books?
No. I have the knight. I can tell you where they probably are, but I ain't gonna go fucking looking. That box they're in is like the fucking... It's where all my early stuff is, and the box stays shut.
Okay. The shame box.
Fucking Crocs Pandora box.
It's when I had to redo my fucking Titan Legio, that's where I got them from.
Okay.
Next question.
Tom?
Tom?
Tom? Has Tom died?
Has he had enough?
Did he say he was going for a while?
Where did he go?
Okay, well, in place, Moots, would you care to do the honors? This is a very Moots-coded question.
Sure, of course, yes. It's not because I chose this question at all. So, what is your favorite kind of cheese?
Parmesan.
Oh my god, he's back!
This rat bastard.
Sorry, I heard Croc's voice, and I was like, "Yeah, I can go off and go pee. This isn't important."
No.
Parmesan. Not because I have
Parmesan.
Parmesan on everything. That's not true. You know, if we're talking about regularity, we're just talking about a simple cheddar, maybe even a vintage. That's fine. But the reason Parmesan is my favorite is because when I'm having a meal that requires good fucking cheese, good, nice, tasty fucking cheese. Thank you, Italy. Better than Swedish food, although that's not exactly a hard bar. Although I am British, so you know, I'm kettle, pot, black, etc., etc. Parmesan, you know, meatballs better with Parmesan. Chili con carne better with Parmesan. Anything that can have Parmesan is improved by Parmesan. And that can't be said for all cheeses, because you and I both know that the kinds of people who will get like a pizza, they'll make a pizza and they'll put extra cheese on it. That shit sucks. It's just too sticky and greasy and nasty. But if something requires extra fucking Parmesan, game changer.
When you go to a really good like pasta place and they just have those bowls of Parmesan next to you, or just
I'm just sat there. I get my straw for my drink. I take it out the drink. I wipe it down. I put it in the Parmesan. I snort that. You know, bro. It's like you got to get mainline Parmesan into your blood, or you're just not doing it right. I'd make an exceptional Italian. Truly, I'm basically Italian. You know,
He's basically Tony Soprano.
Yeah, don't Google my name and beans. That'll tell you your opinion.
I have a fucking core memory of when I was like 4 going to an Italian restaurant, and they made the mistake of putting the fucking bowl of Parmesan on the table. I got a full fistful of that shit, dude.
As you fucking should. Croc has redeemed himself. What a fucking day.
Fistful of Parmesan over here, yeah.
I don't know if I ate it, but I had the fistful.
For me, I will have to say, what do you mean?
Hold on. What did you eat it? You didn't eat it. What did you do? Did you fucking just like hold it? Did you just throw it?
It's when I was like 4 years old, dude. What does any 4-year-old do? You know, like a fucking handful of cheese.
You just grab it, let it go.
That's like cracking the fucking Da Vinci Code to a 4-year-old. Just a handful of shredded cheese, dude. Like.
Man is literally a cheese toucher.
I don't know. I'm hoping, I'm praying, I'm believing that you ate it. But my God, if you fucking violated that Parmesan, I'm gonna violate you. And I swear to God, this is a promise.
What does he do?
I was like 4 years old.
That's no excuse.
That's a Mozart P piano promise right there.
What if instead of being Mozart P piano, it's Mozart P toucher, and he touched your wiener?
Mozart P Parmesan. All right, I'm gonna go kill myself now. Carry on.
Halloumi.
That's not even cheese.
Of course it's cheese.
No, halloumi is the cheese you don't think's a cheese, but it is actually a cheese.
It's a cheese.
Yeah, halloumi is cheese like Battletech is Warhammer. What are you talking about?
Halloumi sticks. Halloumi sticks.
As someone who loves halloumi and understands it's called cheese, and it's like, all right, cool, technicality is great. Give us a cheese that isn't a cheese by technicality, please.
Fucking a camembert.
Actually, that's a sick fucking answer. I'd like to change my answer to camembert. The best,
there we go.
some of the best nights of my life I've had with a camembert in front of me. To be fair, that's a decent fucking. Yeah, that's because you're like 10 years old. That's fine.
No, last time I bust out the fucking camembert, I got attacked by a grizzly.
Did you live?
I might have done.
Well, it sounds like it was a great night.
I can tell who in the call got the joke and who didn't.
I have no idea.
I think you're just done.
Wild fucking out of context. I have no idea what the fuck it means.
It's because what kind of cheese do you lure a bear out with? Come on, bear.
I fucking hate you.
Fucking hate you.
You guys don't get this. It's like the oldest dad joke. Have you not heard this 50 times?
Sorry, the only person who's heard that before.
I don't know anything about humans.
I'm not going to repeat the whole thing, but I really hope you choke on a cheese stick.
I actually get mauled by a bear.
I thought you knew, like you fucking played into it. Did you actually believe a fucking bear showed up when I caught a bit of camembert?
Dude, I don't know. I was like, man, maybe it was at the zoo or something.
This is the man who started asking questions when I said Aaron thinks that haggis are a real animal. It was like, are they not?
Right.
This is what this man
After
said.
this recording, after this, I'm gonna go speak to God. I'm going back to church for this. This is so fucking dumb. Croc. I don't even have anything to say to you. Right. So thank you all very much.
Wait.
No, the last person who said wait to me.
Like
the last
Brie,
person who
okay?
said that to me made me want to fucking kill myself. Okay.
Brie.
Right, like Brie. Cool.
Yes.
I
The
agree.
Swedish thing you said
in
to
Sweden,
tell
we
me
use
that's
a
Swedish
tool
history.
called a ostival to slice our cheese.
Brie reminds me of Christmas. Christmas is pretty cool.
Christmas is pretty cool.
Can we end? Can we end, please?
So, thank you all so much for watching this fucking stupid ass cunting episode of the Astartes Anonymous podcast. Give me another episode. Give me another episode, and I'll give you Croc's home address because this is just too much. I can't bear it. I can't camembert it. Oh, I'm killing it. I shouldn't even have said that.
See you guys
That was
next
being my
time.
fucking-
Can't.
See you later, cunts.
I'm ending this fucking recording. I need. Patron, cool. Patron's great.
Thank you.
We love you.
Unsubscribe from the Gaming Storyteller. I don't even know where have I put the stream now. How do I end this fucking recording? There it is. Oh yeah, I wanted to shout out Lefurious. I liked playing Peak with you the other night. That was great.
No.
Fuck off, Croc.